Good afternoon, everyone. Dear juniors, classmates, and Dr. Bhatti ma'am, and esteemed participants also. I welcome you all today for a particular debate, reminding you all it's not a competition, rather it's a healthy discussion on the current scenarios and current situations right now. Today we have gathered here to witness a live debate on the topic India versus Bharat. The country needs a name change. We have the privilege of witnessing thought-provoking discourse on the significant issue. Two talented speakers, Priyanka Sharma from America, India, and Ipsa from Diploma are here. Each speaker will be allotted 4 minutes for their opening statement. Later on, they will be provided 3 minutes for rebuttal. Then a question round will follow on, and after that, 2-minute closing statement will be provided to each of them. Without further ado, I would call upon Ipsa for an opening statement.
In the times of glory or distress to our country, on the battlefield or otherwise, what motivates us the most is the fact that we love our country and we honor it by saying Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Good afternoon everyone, my name is Ipsa and I will be talking in favor of the topic that we should name India as Bharat. For my first contention, I would like to state upon a fact that India is not mentioned anywhere in the ancient text. India is actually derived from a word called Indus. Now Indus is the name given to the Sindhu river, which is actually a river that majorly flows outside the territory of India. Now ladies and gentlemen, it is unfair to call this country India because it is not just illogical but it is also against our geographical structure. Now let's talk about Bharat. Well, Bharat is a word that has been derived from the ancient text, whether it is Ramcharitmanas or others. Now let us say that India is actually a word which is given to us by our colonialists. Imagine you being given a name by someone else and your name being distorted. Now coming to my next contention, I would like to point out that these two terms, Bharat and India, are basically interchangeable. So sending an invitation that President of India invites others, it has nothing wrong with it. In fact, in 2016 and 2020, the Honorable Supreme Court stated that Article 1 of the Indian Constitution mentions India as India, that is Bharat, and in the Hindi structure, Bharat Arthat India. So that is how we state that the Parliament has the privilege to use either India or Bharat in its documents. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to point out that the essence of my argument is not that the Indian Constitution should be amended and the word India should be discarded from it. Rather, Bharat should be put as a pedestal to be called and recognized as a nation, as our nation. And this is not only going to bring laurels to our country, but it will recognize our culture, diversity, our history, and our values. Now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to my last contention. You know, recently Turkey named itself as Turkey, which basically was in order to disassociate itself from the word Turkey and also to actually authenticate its spelling and the pronunciation of its word. Ladies and gentlemen, not only that, if the country such as Burma can name itself Myanmar, and if a country such as Ceylon can name itself Sri Lanka, why can't India do so? So we should ponder upon that point and change the name to Bharat. Coming towards my last point, wherein what comes next, what is the way forward? Well, India has moved towards the Amrit Kal, and it has been ages from the independence, since we have gained independence as a country. So, it is a high time that we come out of the shackles of the colonial of the colonial aftermath that it has put, and we changed the name to Bharat. Now changing the name to Bharat in a time when the country is growing, its popularity is very important, because only in this case that Bharat will reach every citizen of this world as a word and as for us to recognize our country as Bharat. Ladies and gentlemen, we should make 2023 as the year of not India that is Bharat, but Bharat that is India. Thank you.
Where everyone plays Ipsa took the stand for the topic, now we have Priyanka Sharma from India taking stance against the topic.
Okay, so before starting with the opposition, I'd like to inform or add that Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, Satluj are the principal tributaries of Indus river system flowing in Indian land. A very warm greetings to one and all present here. I, Priyanka Sharma, of MA2 of School of Communication Studies. Thank you all for lending me your ears as I vehemently oppose today's motion that states India versus Bharat, the country needs a name change. First of all, I'd like to enlighten my worthy opponent about an elementary and a very basic piece of information that India can simply not be renamed as Bharat. Because both India and Bharat are the maiden and given names of this great nation. A fact enshrined in Article 1 of the Indian Constitution, a document which I presume you must be aware given your profession in legal studies. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, the push to rename the country is initiated by the current autocratic regime which is blind towards the atrocities committed in Manipur, Noor, Gurugram, Gujarat, Kashmir, to name a few. And the latest addition to these blind spots of our supreme leader is a blatant disregard and insensitivity towards the 8th schedule of Indian Constitution and the 22 languages that it protects. In order to extend the agenda of saffronization, this government is planning to murder all the 21 languages, leaving alone the 22nd, Hindi, alone and alive. Respected members of the House, I'd further like to add that India, the word, is not a colonial gift, but a geographical denoter of our subcontinent. It is important to name our country after the great Indus Valley civilization, extending along the Indus River. Whereas the Bharat, this word is derived from the name of a mythological prince. On a very troubling Tuesday of 18th July 2023, 26 political parties of the opposition announced a new alliance with a new name, India. It was only after this fact we observed a highly calculated, deliberate and a cowardly push to rename this country to Bharat, which mirrors the fact that opposition of the present autocratic regime is not just those 26 parties but the whole nation itself and an individual which dares to call themselves an Indian. Thank you.
Kudos to both Priyanka and Ipsa. After listening to both of their opening statements, now I would call upon Ipsa for her counter arguments against Priyanka.
So my worthy opponent has given a very beautiful speech how India has its essence and not Bharat. Lady, actually Bharat was the maiden name of India and India came after the independence, and not just after the independence, only the Greeks gave the name India to our country. It actually means, and I must reiterate, that independent nation declared in August, India. Imagine there's a meaning to it. So leading opponent, I would like to ask you a question that India as a name has no connection with the history of our land, culture or identity. It is only the name given by the colonizers. So tell me ma'am, how long do you think that India or Bharat must weigh down itself with the colonial legacy?
भारत शब्द का क्या वर्ड है, क्या मतलब है, ये मुझे नहीं पता, सॉरी फॉर दैट, क्योंकि मुझे सिर्फ इतना पता है कि भारत जो शब्द है वो एक माइथोलॉजिकल प्रिंस होते थे, भरत उनके नाम से आया है। रही बात इंडिया की, वास्को डी गामा जी जब भारत में आए उस टाइम पे भी भारत का नाम इंडिया हुआ करता था। जिस तरीके से मैंने बताया, इंडिया कोई कॉलोनियल गिफ्ट नहीं। इंडिया का नाम, अगर आपने अच्छे से मेरी स्पीच सुनी होगी तो शायद आपके क्वेश्चन नहीं मुझसे पूछते। खैर मैं फिर भी बता दूँ, इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन इज वन ऑफ द ओल्डेस्ट सिविलाइजेशंस और इंडिया का नाम इसको सिग्निफाई करता है। मेरा सवाल एक आपसे ये है कि मेक इन इंडिया और स्वच्छ भारत अभियान, दो ऐसे अभियान की सरकार ने चलाए, तो क्या आपको इन अभियानों में बैलेंस ऑफ पावर या बैलेंस ऑफ लैंग्वेज नहीं दिखाई देता?
Thank you for the question, ma'am. So I have in my contention stated that my argument is not that Bharat होना चाहिए या India होना चाहिए. My contention is that we must recognize India as Bharat in the eyes of the public, in the eyes of the world, because it has an intrinsic essence attached to our history and culture. Whereas India has only been if not post-colonialism as you said, but as she said, Vasco da Gama came into India, it was named India. Greeks only named it India, right? I didn't say Vasco da Gama came to India and it was already named India. Yes, that is what I'm saying. Only the Greeks named India. So why should we be known from the name that is given to us by some other land? Why can't we have our own history to be named and to be reiterated as our own identity? So Bharat, as its name suggests, and she asked me what does it mean? Well, its significance lies in the history, in the medieval, in the ancient textbooks, and she has pointed out herself that Bharat, who was the brother of Rama, was actually on his name. India is given the name of Bharat. She in fact stated that what is the significance? I continuously said that, ma'am, my argument is not based on the essence that constitution must change and remove the name India. It must keep India. India is a part of the constitution and it must remain so. However, Bharat should be recognized as a name of this country, like the president of Bharat, like the podium states when Mr. Narendra Modi sits Bharat, and that. Thank you.
Excuse me, audience. We are now going to have a question round. We will now take questions from the audience. So please raise your hand if you have any question. You all.
I would like to ask Ipsa that you contending that the name be changed to Bharat. Do you not think if you will change the names of all this IIT, that will cost us in crores? How do you justify the cost of this change? Ma'am, since I said in my contention that I am not talking about the constitutional amendment, I am again stating it is only going to be recognized as Bharat. And also pointing out the fact that let the institutions be called IITs, IIMs, because we have the Bombay High Court. Although we have named Bombay to Mumbai, we have the Madras High Court, we have named Madras to Chennai. So let that continue to be, because these laws or whatever, if it comes so after the 18th of September, if so, then it must come as a prospective law and not a retrospective law. Thank you.
I once again have a question from the lady of the proposition, Ipsa. You said that the colonizers gave the name India. And then you went on to say that Bharat was the brother of Rama. The suffix A given to the Sanskrit words like Ram, Krishna, Yog, Shiv, and then they changed those names to Rama, Krishna, Shiva, and Yoga. And then again you use that suffix given by the said colonizers. So there is a discrepancy, there is an imbalance in your statements. How do you reconcile the two?
Thank you for the question, Nilesh. So I was given the prop that this debate must be in English. I am using the English that is given by our colonizers to us. And I am okay with speaking that, and I am not saying that Hindi नहीं बोलनी चाहिए. I am going to use Hindi now. हिंदी बोलनी चाहिए और वो राम होता है रामा नहीं. Thank you for correcting. Thank you.
Are there any other questions against Priyanka particularly? Sharma.
You mentioned how changing the name from India to Bharat only recognizes one language. But even India recognizes only one language. That is English. We are not saying in Bengali, we are not saying in Telugu, we are not saying in Urdu. Language is very different for me. Thank you for the question. The English language is a foreign language, and it has a significant effect on the globe at the global presence. And that is why, if in India, English word, in this particular word called India, in English is used, people do recognize it. However, Bharat, the word, this is a Hindi word. It is limited to the Ganges plains of northern India. My question is, you said Article 8, Schedule 8 gets disregarded when we recognize only one language. I am saying we are still recognizing only one language. Okay. I agree with you to an extent. However, I still am standing on whatever I stated. Thank you.
Now I would call upon firstly Ipsa, followed by Priyanka for their closing remarks and statements.
Ladies and gentlemen, a rose is a rose is a rose. So, without Bharat, there is no India. Well, since we began to talk about this, we must also know that as a child, when I was given a nibandh to write, Mera Bharat Maan, it was more interesting than to write it on Incredible India. Well, even as our defense services states that all the three services, Army, Navy and Air Force, they have different mottos. I may state the mottos. So the Army has the motto of Seva Parmo Dharma, Air Force has the motto of Nab Sparsham Deepa, and Navy has the motto of Shamno Parma. But ladies and gentlemen, the war cry remains the same. How and why? Because this particular war cry actually imbibes the most strongest emotion in ourselves of patriotism. And what better to end my contentions and my close-up by actually reiterating the war cry. Let us do it once again. Bharat Mata Ki Jai! Bharat Mata Ki Jai! Bharat Mata Ki Jai!
भारत माता की जय। अगर अंग्रेजी में हम मम्मी को मम्मा बोलते तो शायद मम्मा से इमोशनल चीज नहीं होता है। अंत में मैं बस इतना ही कहना चाहूँगी कि आई स्टार्टेड माई ओपनिंग स्टेटमेंट विद द लैंग्वेज इंग्लिश एंड डिड द रिबटलिंग हिंदी में जितना हो सका। सिर्फ इतना बताने के लिए कि महज एक नाम या भाषा बदल देने से एक देश का इतिहास नहीं बदला जा सकता। कहने को तो स्कूल ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन स्टडीज़ है, पर लेकिन संचार अध्ययन स्कूल अगर हम कह देंगे तो क्या हम और आप बदल जाएंगे? सवाल इसीलिए यही है कि भाषा के बदल जाने से अगर हम भी बदले तो शायद इतिहास भी बदले, और अगर नहीं बदलेगा तो ये भाषा, ये नाम, इस सब की राजनीति को परे छोड़ जो असली बातें हैं जिन पे काम होना चाहिए वो होते रहना चाहिए। और आई गेस हम जिस तरीके के प्रोफेशन में हैं वी शुड नॉट बी डिबेट. आई थिंक दिस इज़ अ हेल्दी डिस्कशन, बट इस बातों पर नहीं लड़ना चाहिए कि इसके नाम बदलने से ये हो जाएगा या इसके नाम बदलने से ये हो जाएगा. आई थिंक वी शुड मोर talk about, debate about how this government is blind on the Manipur, Noon, Gurugram and everything happening in this country. Thank you very much.
A great applause for Priyanka and Ipsa for pointing out their opinions in front of each and everyone. In the spirit of healthy discourse and intellectual exploration, we have witnessed a thought-provoking debate today in the topic of renaming our nation. India or Bharat. We have seen passion, conviction, and a well-articulated arguments against each other. This debate reflects the essence of democracy in our society. Remember that the conversation never ends within the four walls of a department. Let's continue to ponder over the question, engage in discussions, and work together to shape the future of our nation to be a great nation. Thank you all for being a part of this dialogue and debate. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.